All right.
We've started.
Hi, everyone. Welcome
Hi.
to our Coffee with BΑEO Live. We are so excited today to have Teresa Palmer and, of course, my co-host, Anna Schaefer, and our sweet... Is that your phone? I know how to fix that. Everybody who's on here, if you don't want your phones going crazy on your computer, you go up to the top and you put on the little moon icon. Did you know that?
Do not disturb.
Or on your phone?
Both.
Yeah, I'm on my phone. Guys,
Yeah.
I still haven't got a laptop after all these years.
Over all these years. For everybody who doesn't know the ins and outs of Teresa's computer situation, Teresa has always traveled with multiple keyboards, cords connecting to iPads and computers. There's just a lot of pieces to what
Very ancient iPads because I refuse to update them. And like every year, Apple's like, we've got something new. And I was like, yeah, but my old one's perfectly fine, until it's like 12 years old and I'm lugging around like an external plug-in keyboard because the keyboard stopped working. Oh dear.
Well, we're letting some participants in right now, but we're going to go ahead and get started for everybody who was on right at 10 o'clock. Thank you all for joining us. Anna, do you want to do a intro for Teresa, or would you like for me to intro
her? Because the FaceTime was Peter because Jalen got hurt, so I need 1 minute.
Got it.
For her, so.
You intro me, Sarah.
3 moms on a webinar, and you gotta believe.
I'll be right back. Sorry.
Yeah, we'll see it.
We got 2 pregnant mamas. We got a baby. It's all happening. Probably we're going to see your boobs at some point, Sarah.
Most definitely. That's usually something that would happen. For those of you who don't know, my wonderful partner, Teresa Palmer. Teresa is a mom of, oh my gosh, almost 5, right? You have newest baby is coming to us in, have you said when it's coming?
Yeah, August.
Make sure. Okay.
I'm doing my pregnancy vlog, so people can probably figure it out.
So you're counting it down. So it's fine. I was always like doing my pregnancy vlogs, but then also at the same time, I never gave away my date. So I was like, oh, we can put 2 and 2 together.
I'm sure someone can figure it out.
I don't know why I wanted to be like, I like the idea of everyone sort of guessing and not feeling the pressure of when it was actually going to happen. I think that was my
I hate that feeling too.
Yeah. Anyway, so Teresa is an actor, director, producer, author. She's the co-owner of Your Zen Mama and co-writer of the Zen Mama Guide to Finding Your Rhythm in Pregnancy, Birth, and Beyond, and the co-founder to Lovewell.earth. How do you even function? You have so many things going on.
I don't know. That's a really good question. I was doing my vlog this morning because
by the way, you're so great at getting those done. Cass could kill me because you guys, when I was doing my vlogs, like weeks would go by. She's like, you got to turn one in. And I'm like, no.
I just feel like there's like a certain small group of women who are around the same weeks as me. So I feel like the pressure on a Friday, like I've got to get it out.
It's very
but I was doing it today and I wrote about how this week is the first week we've actually hired a babysitter. And you can hear them outside. They're in the pool. They're having so much fun.
Amazing.
She's 18 years old. She's amazing. She's full of energy. She has way more energy than I ever have. And she's like in the pool with them. She's doing arts and crafts. She's doing plays, dance recitals. Like, it's unbelievable. And I've had her 20 hours this week. And it's the first time I feel like I've actually been able to balance everything. And every day I schedule a work day. So today's a Your Zen Mama work day. Yesterday I had a full day of Lovewell. The day before that I was working on Your Zen Life. So it's just about trying to balance it, and scheduling for me is the way I get through, I would say. But then other days I'm just not kicking any goals and it just looks completely messy and I feel like I haven't achieved anything except for maybe folded up some baby clothes, and that's about it.
Well, I mean, you know, I can tell you what happens when your life isn't balanced. I was just talking to Anna. She's laughing. I was just talking to Anna because and Teresa knows this too, but I've been having this weird thing going on with my eye. And I know you're going to laugh, but one of my eyes is like doing this really weird thing. It was bothering me and it was like much bigger than the other eye. And it kind of just was always looking very surprised. And it's still a little bit like that, but it's kind of always been a touch off. But we were talking about it and I was like, I don't know, I just went on this vacation and, you know, it was like our first vacation since COVID and it was very relaxing. And I was like, gosh, my eye stopped hurting. And like, I felt like it started to sort of even out a little bit. And I was talking to Anna and she goes, yeah, she was talking to our friend who's the skin witch. Her name's Emma. And she's she's an amazing esthetician. And she's also just very like witchy and intuitive and all this stuff. And she was like, yeah, Sarah, her body's trying to tell her that she, you know, her life is not in balance. She's like, there's something, right? Anna, is that what she said?
Yeah, she said her body's actually physically telling her like there's no balance in your life, hence one eye smaller, one eye bigger.
Oh, bless your little eye, trying to give you the message. It's like, look at me, can't you see? I'm trying to give you all these signs.
And I literally am like, yeah, I can see. Can you elaborate? Give me all the messages. Maybe give me a list of how-tos and then we can go from there. How's Jalen, by the way, Anna?
Oh, I FaceTimed him. He's so sad. He said, I took my shoes off and he attacked me. And then he started like hysterically crying. But
oh, sweetheart.
He'll probably be in here in 10 minutes crying.
Okay.
About it.
Got it. Okay.
Oh, bless him.
Well, can you tell us
an allergic reaction?
Oh God.
I have an allergic reaction.
When it rains, it pours, girlfriend. Mercury retrograde. This I can't even deal with how crazy it's been.
Over?
June 22nd it finishes, and it's specific to communication. Okay. So it's like if you've had any sort of bumpy kind of wobbly communication, I'm blaming Mercury. That's what's happening.
I love that. I love to blame Mercury about that all the time. I've never been a great communicator.
That's not true.
I am now a better communicator. Currently, winter is being very chill.
Really killing it. Well done.
Well, let's get to our interview. Anna, do you want to start us off with some questions for our lovely dear Teresa? I can't believe you're leaving us again soon.
When are you leaving?
June the 13th.
Wow. Really?
Because then I'll be, I already look 40 weeks pregnant. So I feel like I won't actually be let on the plane if I left any later. And I'll only be 30 weeks pregnant, but they'll be like, whoa, she's about to have a baby. So I got to get down there. I've got to do 2 weeks of quarantine when I get to Australia. So the sooner I go, the better, because I've got to get through that.
Okay. So I will start with the questions that were sent in. The first question, kind of selfish way to start, but what's your favorite BＡO product?
It's a perfect way to start. So I use this every day. As you can see, I've hardly got any left. Thank God you guys sent me 2 other ones. This is the bear butter. Everyone, can you see this? What I like about this product in particular is that it's for everything. And even if it's not for everything, Teresa uses it for everything. I use it to take my makeup off. So I put makeup on today because I woke up looking a little tired and I was like, I should probably do this for the people watching. I will use this as soon as we're done. I'll use it. It comes straight off. It's amazing. I use it before bed. I pull it all the way down to my neck. I put it on my chest. I put it on my arms. I put it on my legs. So I use this selfishly because the kids really love this as well. And I use this a lot on my children because I get dry skin. but this is mummy's. So no one's allowed to have this one. The other one's up in the other bathroom, and it's so cute because there's these little like dig marks, like little finger dig marks, and they don't realize that you actually don't need to use a lot. It's like the size of, I was going to say a 20-cent piece, but you guys don't have that here. 25-cent piece. It goes a really long way, but my kids like gouge it out and shove it all over their body. But I think this one's really practical for me. It's easy. I love it. I love the smell of it. I know that there's like a specific face one, like the bare face, which is so wonderful, but I get to this one once I've used this one. So yeah. I that's my favorite one. It's a game changer. It smells amazing. The ingredients are incredible, certified organic. You girls are killing it.
So sweet.
Thank you, Winter.
Okay. What are your favorite afternoon and evening
snacks? Well, pre my chill out on the amount of food I've been eating this pregnancy, that would be vegan cheese, like these really amazing gourmet vegan cheeses. You can get truffle ones, and it's aged cashew, and Mary's Gone crackers. So that's my favorite thing. I was having it all the time. Since I am now realizing that I've been eating everything in all the land, and I need to please stop doing that. I would say my favorite snack right now is there's this really amazing, I've been craving big hearty salads. So there's a really amazing dressing that I can get from Erewhon here in Los Angeles. It's Dave's Korean is the brand, and it's a miso tahini dressing with lemon, and it's absolutely beautiful. And so I dump an entire, like one of those big buckets full of spinach, and I just chuck that dressing over the top, and then do a big wad of guacamole and some garlic dip and a little bit of tofu. And that's what I've been having. I've been living off that day in, day out.
That sounds amazing.
It's so amazing. And I don't know why I would always gravitate at lunchtime or at dinner time. I'd always gravitate to something heavy, like a really big burger and fries and whatever. And I would feel sluggish. And I'd be like, oh God, I'm so tired. It must be the pregnancy. But honestly, the last 3 days that I've been doing this, I have so much more energy. I feel amazing. Yeah. And it was just making these small tweaks with my diet that has made me feel like this. So I would say healthy snack wise, that's what I'm really enjoying. Lotus root, like fresh lotus root, has been really delicious. And then if I'm having sort of a more indulgent moment, I've been baking a spinach artichoke dip with you just put like frozen spinach down, a bunch of garlic salt, onions. You make your own cashew cheese, which is just, you soak cashews for 12 hours. You blend it in with some white wine vinegar and some garlic and a little bit of lemon. And you just sort of mix it all together, put some vegan sour cream, and then bake it for 20 minutes. And the best part is you sprinkle breadcrumbs on top and spray it with a little bit of olive oil.
Oh my God.
Chuck it in the oven. And it's heaven. It's the yummiest thing. And then it lasts for a few days. You chuck it in the fridge and you can
that
just
sounds so
get into
good.
It.
I used to
it's
make
so good.
Like that in a very like mayo and cheese heavy kind of way.
This is the healthy alternative, the plant-based alternative. I love it. I'll put it on my Instagram or something because I've been really obsessed with it.
That sounds so
I'll
good.
I'll send it.
Again, made me very hungry. It's not fair.
Luckily, I just ate because I knew I'd be talking about food. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be so hungry.
Right.
Is this pregnancy any different from your others, or similarities, differences? What do you feel?
Similarities that honestly, I feel very lucky in that I have relatively straightforward pregnancies. I would say I'm just a bit more tired. I think, Anna, like what you were saying too, it's so different, isn't it, when you're pregnant with your first or your second, to when you've already got kids running around that you have to tend to. You wake up early with them. You're with them from the moment they're awake until they go to sleep. And it's that aspect of it. There's a part of me that mourns those those intimate moments with my baby and my belly, and those long sort of like those times where you get to just really check in all day, every day, and remind yourself, oh my God, I'm pregnant. You're so excited. I feel like I'm just on autopilot. And it's not until I feel her moving, and she's got a very specific routine. And it's always when I lie down at nighttime and I'm quiet, she like reminds me that she's in there, and she moves around. And then I realized like, oh my gosh, I didn't even really check in with her today. I didn't, apart from like noticing in the mirror that I'm pregnant, I wasn't really having those same kinds of conversations that I've had with babies in utero before. So I think I would say that's the difference, is I just feel so busy. I'm spread thin. I'm meeting the needs of 3 different children. But aside from that, in terms of physically, I feel pretty great. Definitely not moving as much as I have in other pregnancies, and I can feel that and see that on my body. But ultimately, it's been pretty straightforward.
I didn't do that thing. I didn't do that. I'm gonna do airplane mode. I didn't know. That's funny. I feel exactly the same thing. I definitely don't. I mean, with Lila, I was like talking to her and playing music to her and like reading books. And then with Jalen, I did a little bit less, but I still did it. And then with this one, I'm no.
Surviving.
Although when I do have a free moment, I get in bed and just like binge watch like a show and just rest.
So nice.
Doesn't happen a lot, but I've been trying to make that, like, I deserve that. I need some alone time.
Oh, you do, because things are going to change. You got a few more weeks or however long you have.
Yeah, all those
and then it's going to be no joke.
Forever.
But Anna is doing something pretty cool. She's going to do the first 40 days with an amazing postpartum doula, who, by the way, Anna was just house sitting and taking care of our dogs and our plants and stuff.
And texted me from your house.
Okay, she said, I have to read you this message that she sent, because I was like, I have to pull this up because you're both going to crack up. But she wrote me, because she's been taking care of our plants, but this is how much of a caretaker she is. Okay. And she goes, I did the biodynamic lunar eclipse amendments in the garden earlier this week. Gave it a compost tea treatment of fermented horsetail weed, nettle, and fish emulsion. I had extra from doing my own beds. The plants are totally thriving. It's the happiest backyard ever.
Oh my God. I got to say, only in LA.
It was so beautiful. I was like, oh my God. It reminded me, do you guys know that movie, My Neighbor Totoro? My Neighbor Totoro. Totoro is like this little amazing Japanese character, and we love it in our house. And there's a book too. But there's this moment where the kids are like, we planted seeds and nothing's growing. And then Totoro does this like moon dance or whatever. And the next morning, everything grew. And so we got home and like all of our it looks like Dr. Seuss outside.
No. Oh my
legit,
gosh.
Legit.
And you've picked the right person.
I cannot wait. She's so like, she sent me meal plans, and it's all about
heaven,
frost and teas, and she basically just takes care of me for 40 days.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. And then it gives you the time to be able to bond with your baby and have those moments with your baby. Because if someone's taking care of you, like, that's all you need. Yeah. Oh, amazing.
I know, it's so good. And we talk about on Your Zen Mama, we talk a lot about how, you know, in other cultures, that's just the norm. It's just normal, you know, and in America,
the sisterhood steps in.
And in America, it's so, that time is, it's more celebrated to be the multifunctional, hit the grind, get back to work. Like, that's more celebrated than like resting, taking time, caring for your body.
Yeah.
Like it, and it should be the opposite. It really,
I would love to try that. I get so resistant to that experience because I'm like, go. Oh, I'm cool. 2 days past baby, and chuck the baby in the carrier and away we go. But I actually said that to Mark. I was like, I would really love to have a different postpartum experience this time. Yeah. Don't let me make plans. Just say no. When I'm like, oh, we're going to do a play day. Oh, we're going here, we're going there. Just tell me that that's not happening. I was like, okay, we'll see.
And then you'll bite his head off when he says no.
I know. I'll be like,
I'm never going.
yeah, totally. You can stay home. That's fine. I'll take all 4 children on my own.
And you would.
Yeah.
What is the most surprising thing you discovered while writing your book?
Well, I can tell you about the most profound moment. All of it was surprising because we were first-time authors. And I will say one beautiful thing in the process was that when you are 2 separate people, we're very like-minded, Sarah and I, in terms of how we parent and our philosophy on parenting, but we still are writing one book together. So that's having to figure out a way to blend 2 voices so it feels organic for the reader. And I will say I was so surprised at how seamless that experience was. I would write a chapter, Sarah would write a chapter, and then we would swap chapters, and I would sort of blend my voice into hers and she would blend her voice into mine. And really the feedback we've been getting is that it just feels like one voice, which I love. And I think that's what we were really going for. So it was just really effortless, that part of it. And it was probably the one thing I was like, oh, wow, I wonder how this process is going to go. And so that was very surprising. Now, let me talk about the most profound moment, because I think it's really worth sharing. And some of you have heard this before, if you've been on any of our Your Zen Mama webinars. But we wrote a chapter specifically dedicated to pregnancy loss, which was a very important chapter for us to include. Neither of us had read a chapter like that in any other baby books. And in fact, I often talk about when I had my own loss in 2015, I really felt like I was kicked out of a group because I was reading these pregnancy books and all of a sudden there was nothing included in those books that made me feel like this was a normal experience. And I just had to sort of put my books away and put them off to the side and dust them back off next time I got pregnant. But Sarah and I really felt that it was so necessary to take a woman on the journey of conception. And it's not always straightforward. It's not always without bumps in the road and without grief and pain and loss and suffering. So we did that. We wrote it. Sarah, her specific role for that chapter, this is one of my chapters that I wrote, was to lend her voice in a way from the perspective of a friend who hasn't been through pregnancy loss herself, but wanted to offer up support. And I loved what she wrote. It was so poignant and gorgeous, and it so eloquently described the ways in which she showed up for me when I had my loss. But then as we were turning in the final edit of the book, Sarah herself went through a pregnancy loss. And it was so profound that she was able to go back to the chapter, read through everything, and find solace in the words and comfort in these other experiences that we've been writing about. And maybe, Sarah, you want to speak to that for a second, but that for me was, I think, the standout moment during the whole process of writing the book.
Definitely. I mean, it for sure gave me some of those like very witchy goosebump vibes because, we had sort of poured over this in a way where when you're writing something, you're researching something, it's one thing, but when you're actually going back and reading it because that's something that you're personally going through at the time, it's just very different. And I think those pages held me in such a way that I can hardly describe, because it really felt like I was hearing your story and other people's stories and the statistics surrounding it. And I took comfort in the fact that, the percentage is very high for people getting pregnant again. And then I also loved all the parts about taking care of yourself and being there and, making sure that you take your time and go really slow. And so it was it was, amazing for me to do that and read that. And I remember like reading that whole chapter and then going back and reading it again. Cause when something traumatic happens, you kind of, you're going to like throw yourself into something at some point. Right. And for me, I threw myself into those pages and then called you guys. And I was just like, tell me everything. I want to hear more stories. And it was a way to feel, for me to feel like this was something that wasn't unique to me, but something that happened to a lot of people, and that I could feel held and comforted by all the women in the world that this has happened to, and
So beautiful.
And I was so grateful that that was available, something that we were able to put out there, and that we were allowed to put it in there, because there was some pushback at the beginning about having an entire, they were like, oh, well, should we do like a partial piece to this? And we were like, no, we need the whole thing.
Well, from my point of view, I don't remember when you first gave me the book, but I know when I first got it, I kind of skipped over that chapter because I just didn't, I don't know. I was like, I think it was either like wanted to get pregnant and I didn't want to know the statistics, even though I kind of knew the statistics, but I got pregnant and then had a loss in July. And that's when I read the chapter. And it was really comforting. And I was so happy that you guys wrote about it, because like you said, Sarah, just not feeling alone and knowing how many people go through it, and then it's normal, and then there is such a high risk of like a healthy pregnancy after, was really comforting. And you're right, Teresa, like there is no chapters like that in other pregnancy books where you're like, you're so excited to read it and then you have to put it away until the next time you get pregnant. So
yeah, I wonder if it's because they're afraid to put readers off, to scare readers or to trigger any sort of trauma. But we just, it was probably the unpopular choice at the time with our editors, but it was really important to us. And also in a weird way, it was validating at the end of that experience. Like, this is the reason why we pushed for this.
Yeah. I'm happy you guys did. It's definitely a very important chapter.
And Anna, I'm with you. I would totally have skipped over it too. If I was like pregnant and I wouldn't have wanted to read that part, I would have skipped it. And then if I needed it, gone back for it later. But sometimes it's like,
I've not been reading that part, being pregnant, because we touch upon all the different ways that loss can occur. So I have just, that goes away. Don't read that right now. But I have been reading the birthing chapter so much. And I'm trying to wrap my head around the fact that, Anna, you're up first.
Wait,
and then me.
I have the worst anxiety about it's like gone. I woke up this morning with like my heart beating, and Peter's like, what's wrong with this? Like, I don't know why, but I have the worst anxiety about labor. I just keep remembering like both times right before the baby came out, like saying like, I'm going to die. Like, I can't do this anymore. Like, this is so intense. This is so painful. Feeling like everything is about to explode, and like the contractions. It's intense, and I'm not that, like, I was watching videos of like water births and people are like, and the baby's coming out and they're like smiling, and I was like, that's not me. I'm like cursing,
that's not me either, by the way.
Like, it's not pretty and it's intense. And I, every time, the last with Lila, I said to my doula, Anna Paula, I said, if I have to do this any longer, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. She was like, you're not gonna die. You're okay. And then like the baby came out like 3 minutes later.
Yes.
With Jalen, I had an induced labor. So the Pitocin contractions were very different and much more intense and much more on top of each other. And the nurse even told me, she's like, Pitocin, natural labor don't go hand in hand. Like, it's okay if you get an epidural. And I was like, is that a challenge? Like, no, I'm good. But then at the end of it, I was like, turn the Pitocin off. I can't do this anymore. And they're like, it doesn't work that way. Like, you can't turn the Pitocin off. Like, and so I was like, I don't want to do this. And I was crying, you guys, crying, like nauseous, bent over the bed, awful. And then she goes, what do you need from us? And I was like, I want an epidural. And then she's like, okay. And she goes, hi, we need an epidural in room 4. And then I like get on my knees and I was like, I have to go to the bathroom. And then like, she's like, oh, it's the baby's head is coming, like your baby coming out. And I was like, great.
But it's funny. I hear stories like this all the time. Like the moment you're like, I can't do this anymore. And you're like, at that point, that's when the midwives look at each other like,
they're
oh,
like,
she's in transition. The baby's about
for
to
me, it's
come.
like that moment, like where I hit where when I hit my breaking point.
Yes.
I've done that twice now, is when the baby's coming out.
That's
but
exactly
I keep
right.
thinking about that. I'm like, but I'm gonna hit that breaking point.
It'll be so fast. It'll be fast. And then you'll be on to the next bit.
So, and as I mentioned to you before we started this, is I'm thinking of a home birth. So I met with a midwife, and I want to do a water birth because I've always dreamed of it, but I was always
dream.
Tell us all about. I want give me the dish, because Teresa also loves to birth in the water, and
I will not birth any other way. That's how I feel right now.
You two need to talk.
And do you
wait? Have you ever done a water birth before?
No, I've never. But have you?
Oh, I'm so excited for you.
Out in water, they come out like they're underwater.
They're underwater and they're fine. Everyone's really worried about that. It's not until once they take their first breath, obviously they can't go back under the water, but the placenta's keeping them alive. The oxygen's there. It's fine. So even if they're chilling and their head's out for a while, it's okay.
Yeah, I'm not stressed about them coming out in the water. I'm just stressed out that I'm not in a hospital and God forbid I need an emergency C-section, and then I'm dead and everyone's dead.
Well, you're close to a hospital where your house is.
Yes.
And they'd never, typically they would never let it get to a place where it's such an emergency that sort of thing would happen. Like even with me, when I had my home birth transfer, she made the call long before the baby was going to come because she was just being preemptive. She was like, I see what's going to happen, so we're going to transfer at this point. It's very rare that they transfer like right as you're crowning and it's a disaster. So obviously I like to choose, if I'm having a home birth, quite a conservative midwife, someone that would be willing to transfer earlier rather than later. And I would say my very, very, very favorite thing about water birth is the weightless feeling. So being able to sort of float around, it to me takes the edge off, completely takes the edge off those really more intense contractions. So I tend to be in the shower up into about 8 centimeters. And I usually roll my stomach into the hot water at the peak of the contraction. So I'll let it be on my back. Then at the peak of the contraction, I roll my belly into the hot water so it's pounding, and it sort of counteracts that feeling. And then once I know I'm in transition, I'm like, all right, it's game time. I'll get into the water at that point and then labor for the next sort of 20 minutes and give birth into the water. I would just say it really minimizes tearing. I feel like I was able to slow down the pushing part at the end. And, I always talk about how I transition between 2 different breathing techniques that we write about in the book, to slow it down and to not tear. I also love that it's quite private. I remember with my first birth, and it's just like legs are out, fanny's there, like, there we go, like we are doing it. And I'm naturally sort of a shy person with that kind of thing. I think it must have been my Catholic upbringing, but I remember just being like, oh my God, there's like fluorescent lights and I'm just sort of, everything's out there and oh my God. But with a water birth, I find it really sort of intimate and quiet, and I don't know. I think you might really love it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm definitely anxious, but I'm also really excited about it. And Lila really wants to be there. So and she was like, I'm just not getting in the bath with you. And I was like,
right, gross.
This morning she was like, actually, I want to have my bathing suit on, and if there's nothing gross in the water, then I want to get in and catch the baby.
There will probably be some gross things in the water.
There's this beautiful video from my midwife of this little girl, I think it was like her third or fourth kid, but there's this little, she looks 7 and she's in her bathing suit in the tub with her mom, and the mom's on her, it's have to, you're gonna cry, because the mom's on her knees and the husband's in front of her, and the little girl catches her baby and the mom goes, is it a girl or a boy? And she's squealing. She's like, oh my God, the baby's out there. And she goes, I don't know. And then the midwife goes, it's a girl. She goes, I have a baby sister. And she takes her. And
oh my God.
And I'm watching this sobbing.
I need that link. I'm gonna cry.
I watched it 3 times now because I was showing people, and every time I just start crying. It's like,
oh my gosh,
beautiful.
It's so beautiful.
It's just, so yes, so I'm hoping that I have the courage to go through with it. Someone did ask, can you have a water birth in a hospital in the US? I'm maybe.
Isn't there one hospital?
But
in the US, I don't know in the US.
I think there might be hospitals in the US where that's a possibility. The hospital that we all go to here in LA is not a hospital that has tubs, water birth tubs. There's like birthing centers you can go to. I'm sure there has to be hospitals that support that in America, but
there's one in LA, I heard. But the only issue is you don't know if it's going to be available.
That's right.
So you can't guarantee that you're going to have a water birth. That's why I love the system in Australia where you can birth in a birth center inside a hospital, so that it's basically like having a home birth with midwives, but also you can go upstairs to the neonatal ward if you need to, which I have needed to before with my second baby. He got taken up there.
I need to hear that story.
But it was so just like a precaution. If we weren't in the hospital, they've always said to us, like, we never would have transferred him. It was just a precaution. And I went straight up there and he was just lying in the humidity crib, and I was like, he doesn't even have anything on him. Like, there's no oxygen. There's no, like, can I have my baby now? And they're like, yeah, he's fine here.
Yeah, they're definitely more neurotic in hospitals.
Yeah, definitely. And it was just because he was a bit like bendy. He wasn't as alert, but it's so funny. It's so his personality, the way he came out, like little Zen boy, whereas like Poa and Bodhi were like screaming the house down. And they are so like that. And my kid, number 1 and number 3, are just so like that, jump into every situation. They have just big personalities, very sociable, whereas Forrest is much more like introverted, and
it makes so much
internalizes.
Sense. It makes so much sense that he was that way.
Totally.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah, I mean, I have both of my labors were under 2 hours. So my pediatrician was like, you're like the perfect candidate for a home birth.
100%.
Because who knows if you'll even make it to hospital with
Oh, it'll be great. I can't wait to hear.
Oh, it's very exciting and nerve-wracking, but we will get there. So another question that was sent in for you is, what's it been like being a mom and a working actor, and how have you found that a challenge? Was it difficult to balance? Was it difficult to find balance?
Yeah, I think any mom finds it hard to strike that perfect balance, and it's certainly never perfect. Yeah, I find it hard. I definitely suffer with mom guilt at times when I'm working. I was shooting my show, Discovery of Witches, and because I'm the lead in that show, it wasn't like I could sort of pop in once every 3 days or whatever. I was there from the moment we started till the moment we wrapped, 5 days a week, sometimes 6 days a week, depending on how we were doing. And so it was just really important for me to try and fold the kids into that experience as much as possible. But I guess the beauty in what we do, all 3 of us, aside from our businesses, is that it's not a regular 9-to-5 job for 50 weeks of the year or 48 weeks of the year. It's like you work really hard for a certain period of time, and then you have downtime for 3 months, 6 months, however long, and then you go off and you work again. So I think that is the way I've been able to have as many children as I have and still be able to work, is that it's quite sporadic, the times in which I'm spending so much time at work. And I personally need that. I think that in terms of just who I am and my personality, I like doing like a fast, hard burst of really solid work, and I'll be incredibly exhausted because then you come home and then you're straight into parenting and then you go to sleep and you're straight back at work again. But then having this amazing time that I've had, you know, the past month, just at the house, not setting an alarm, waking up, my kids are my alarms, but just getting to potter about the house and be with them and spend time. So that for me is how I find balance. I'm certainly not in the same headspace I was in when I was in my 20s and I was going from film to film to film to film to film. I was so busy. I would only have 1 week here, 1 week there. That's just not a reality for me with children, and it's not something I seek out anymore. It's not the kind of lifestyle that I want. So I think that's how I try and strike balance. It's never perfect, but it feels pretty good.
Obsessed with the show.
Did you say you're obsessed with the show?
Obsessed.
What?
Because
what?
I don't know if you know this
I
about
haven't heard this.
I'm obsessed with witches and vampires and anything you put in front of me that has witches and vampires and demons and
oh my God. Why didn't I know this about you? I bloody love you.
No, I'm a huge I'm a huge fan. I'm so into it.
Oh my God.
I literally think I watched the first season in like 2 days.
Oh my goodness. Well, the second season's coming out now on AMC because so many people don't have Shudder, but it's like finally coming out on AMC. So I feel like there'll be a new wave of people.
I was so devastated because it's on, I forgot what I watched it on, but then I couldn't it wasn't letting me get season 2.
Yeah, well, it's coming out now, like next week, I think it comes out on AMC. So it's just going to be way more accessible for everyone in the US, which is great because everyone's already like binge watched it all in other countries around the world, but the US is very specific. It's only on Shudder and Sundance now, and not everyone has those platforms, but I think the majority of people have AMC. So yeah. Oh, that's so nice to hear.
Someone was go ahead. What did you say?
I said I can't wait.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You and Kelly Clarkson. Kelly Clarkson is also a mega fan.
And no, she's seen season 2. She's like, I got Shudder.
Oh yeah, that's what you said.
So cute.
Someone was asking any recommendations, and this is for all of us, on a positive mindset.
I've been going through this week. I have been very irrational this week, and I like to say it was pregnancy hormones, and now I'm blaming Mercury in retrograde. But
blame Mercury.
I know, I'm like, I can also just like turn those fingers around and point back at myself because I have been dipping into a more unconscious state of being. I've had the sort of week where I'm so sensitive. I'm hypersensitive. I'm feeling like paranoid that someone said this about me, or like, does that person still like me? Like the most random things. My husband was like, we need to have a check-in. How are you doing mentally? I was like, I've had a crazy week. I don't know what's wrong with me. I've had some really challenging things come up, some business stuff come up that was really challenging to work through this week. And I found myself in slumps. Like every day I would try so hard this week to kind of get on top of my emotions and really unpack everything and show up for myself. But then I would feel my body tense up. So what I found today, I feel so much better. I woke up a new woman. What I found is journaling is the best thing. That has been my experience this week, is get it. I've got this app on my phone called Day One, which is like, it's all encrypted. It's very safe. There's a password, Face ID, whatever. You can just do a brain dump of everything you're going through, all the irrational thoughts. Luckily, I have an amazing husband who will emotionally regulate me when I'm not like sitting in a place of any sort of form of reality and making up stories. And he sat with me last night for like an hour and a half. I went through everything, and I used it as an opportunity to self-reflect. And I will say that that's just a really liberating thing, like trying to find the silver linings in the hardship is, I think, always the way to pull you out of that kind of mindset, because the more you're in it, the more you start to sort of draw more of it to you. And then you start, for me, I would sort of release something, and then I'd find something else to be worried about or stressed out about. And then I would release that. And I'm like, oh, but now I have to have a home birth. And then I would get stressed out about that. And then I'd move on to something else. And it was just like recognizing my patterns and deciding to actively work on pulling myself out of the negative rut that I've been in this week. And started with journaling. Then it moved on to self-care, taking baths, lighting incense, and like my diffuser. Stopped listening to true crime podcasts this week because I felt like even just the energy of those stories, I was in such a like I was kind of absorbing everyone's feelings and emotions all week. I was like, I'm going to put a boundary up, and I'm going to listen to On Being by Krista Tippett, which is all about self-realization and spirituality. And she speaks the most incredible philosophers. And it just really helped me shift. So find that thing that serves you, that feels good. And once you find it, throw yourself into whatever that is. Maybe it's self-care. Maybe it's just breaking your pattern for the week. Yeah, that's probably what I would suggest. But I feel you, I hear you. It totally sucks. And sometimes it's not as easy as just making that choice. It's like, oh, I'm just going to choose to be happy today. It's not always that easy. And it takes a lot of time. I actually, right now, I'm going to show you. See my little pile of books here? I've got Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle, A New Earth, If the Buddha Married, and Wherever You Go, There You Are. So these are all like amazing spiritual minded books. And I've been flicking through them this week, and it's been feeling really good.
I love that. That's amazing. Teresa, we're so similar because I do that spiral so often. The like spiral of, feeling bad that I wasn't there for someone, or just, and thinking like the person's upset with me. And then like, how do I fix this? And then I have all these horribly intrusive thoughts. And then I like go down this awful spiral. And then I'm like, I don't know how to pull myself out of it. Cause I actually like, I can't function when I spiral like that. Like my body feels so affected all the way down to my hands. Like I feel shaky and uncomfortable, and you realize like there's so much more manifesting inside your body than you realize when that's happening. It's not just about the one thing, it's about multiple things. And it's probably about many months of not checking in with yourself, and that's such good advice, because it's hard to always be positive about things, but having a positive mindset is very different, where you're like looking for the beauty in kind of chaos or whatever.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. 100%.
Anna, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I had a brutal week. As you know, we had to put our dog down, and it was like just awful and sad. And we've had a lot of loss this year, as I'm sure a lot of people did. But every morning when I have the time to sort of sit by myself and do a gratitude list, doesn't mean I'm going to have a good day. It doesn't mean that there's nothing bad in my life, but finding those things that I am grateful for that are good in my life help me sort of stay present. And this concept of like, it could always be worse, like, and you're allowed to be sad, you're allowed to give yourself room to be sad and have a bad day, but also remember that there are still good things in your life. I think we all have them. So it's that gratitude list. And then self-care is another huge thing for me. If I don't find time to take a bath or take an extra long shower or meditate or go for a walk, I'm not like, I don't do as well. So I think it's just finding the time for yourself, and that's about it.
100%. Definitely.
Love that. And I
Talk
completely,
about winter right now.
I know.
Oh my God, so stinking cute. She's passed
We
out,
could all sleep like that.
drunk on the milk. So cute.
So because we're gonna have to wrap up here soon, we're gonna do one more question, and then I just want to wrap up with a couple of things that you have going on and ask a couple questions about that. But during pregnancy, what are your favorite self-care rituals? And I know some of them, but the people who are watching may not.
Well, my non-negotiable, which is a bath. I have to have a bath every day. Sometimes I do it twice a day if I've had a bath in the morning. Usually if I have a bath in the morning, it is with Poet, and then I haven't really had my self-care. But then once they're in bed, I always finish the night with a bath. And sometimes I'm in the bath until 11 p.m. and I'm just there for so long. Listening to a podcast, it has been true crime, but I'm shifting gears because I realize that hasn't been serving me this week at all. So that is definitely one of them. I might add a new one in there, which is having sort of an unwind time with my hubs. I lean on him so much for obviously just adult companionship, but also just to like chat. He's so like the depths of his brain and his feelings and his emotion and the things that he thinks about and talks about. I find it so incredibly inspiring, and he's like my spiritual guru. So I really want to sit with him at nighttime, especially recently. And we've just sat and spoke with one another. And it's been so fulfilling for me. And that's a part of just one of my rituals with him. He'll rub my belly, he'll use this on my tummy, which has been so nice, and it smells so good, and gives me a little massage, and we talk about the baby, and he's already convinced that he knows exactly who she looks like in our family. And yeah, and we talk about sort of our dream life. And that's another thing I've been calling in is I'm a really big believer in however you want to label it. Some people call it prayer, some people call it manifesting, others call it goal setting. I love doing that. And I love doing it at the end of the day and sort of writing out all the things that I want to call into my life, and sitting, listening to this great philosopher, Neil Goddard, who's sort of the godfather of this idea of law of attraction before it became very famous and commercialized with The Secret. And sitting, getting into a meditative state, putting my hand over my heart. And he talks about the idea of living as though you're in the end, which essentially means like whatever your dream is, whatever that feeling is. One of mine is like having a farm, like doing regenerative farming here in LA, having horses, having space, having land. I can see and visualize like what that feels like. And he talks about sitting in that feeling. And I always find myself just smiling and seeing my happy children frolicking about and the animals, and that kind of experience I find really beautiful. So that's been a ritual that I think I've been folding in. How I love that. I've been folding into my life recently. I've been saying the nicest things about you.
Oh, it's true. It really has been so beautiful.
Really nice things about you. It's all right.
I will say that my favorite part of our trip, we took a family trip together to Spain to Mallorca with Teresa's family. And I think my favorite part of the trip was when we put the kids down to bed at night and we would sit up for like a couple of hours and talk. And drinks wine.
A lot of wine drinking.
It was so
Teresa. It was just me and Teresa. The
perfect.
boys would just sit there and like, you know, talk with us, and it was just beautiful. It was like
so inspiring. I love that. There's nothing I love more than connecting with like-minded people and just going deep, like immediately going in and going deep.
We did every
getting
night.
really esoteric.
Like such a cool experience. Like we had no distraction because we were just really remote.
Isolated.
We
So
had
true.
Zero distractions, zero TVs, like nothing. You know.
Yeah.
Kids back then.
We only had
2 each.
Yeah. 2
And
each.
Forrest was 5 months old, I remember. So we had our babies. Remember, we'd come down, we'd bring our babies, we'd put them to sleep on the couch. We'd boot them to sleep on the couch. Then be like, they're asleep. Now we can have our wine.
Yeah.
It was just so fun.
It was perfect. And then we would, you know, go upstairs and put them to bed, and it's all good.
Yeah.
Well, we only have about 5 minutes left. So as we're wrapping up here, I saw that on Lovewell Earth, there's a new thing that you guys are launching called the Well. And I know
you both have to be on, please.
Great. We're so happy to do that. But if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, go check out the Well, check out what's going to be launching at Lovewell Earth. There's a lot of new, beautiful things happening over there. So stay tuned with them and follow them. It's lovewell.earth. And then our book, you can find Teresa and my book on Amazon or anywhere that books are sold. It's the Zen Mama Guide to Finding Your Rhythm in Pregnancy, Birth, and Beyond.
You can listen to the Audible.
You can listen to the Audible. We have our next virtual book tour is happening in like a week. So that's really exciting. And
talking about birth, part 2.
Talking about birth part 2, Anna, if you want to join, this is 2 doulas, and we're talking all about birth. And the first one was it felt like we were racing to the finish line.
We were, because it needed to be in 2 parts. We can go over some of what we said.
Yeah, there's so much to unpack with birthing, but I want to get to like all the positions and everything. So if you want to join us for that one. And yeah, I mean, what am I missing? There's just so many things with you. You're going to have a baby, and everybody hope that everyone enjoyed our coffee with BAEO today. I remember the last thing that we always do, and I don't want to forget. What's in your cup?
Oh, what am I drinking?
Mm-hmm.
Are you drinking?
Kombucha.
Kombucha. Anna, what are you drinking?
Kombucha every day.
Water right now. I'm so nauseous.
And this is what happens after you have a baby. Your full coffee sits cold on the side table as you hold your baby in your arms. So none of us are having coffee because I can't reach it. And
water, kombucha, and a cold coffee.
I mean,
dreams, girls.
Sounds exactly right for 3 moms. We're also going to be sending to your inbox a 25% off code to BAEO. If you want to,
you need to get all the things. Get all the things. There are so many things.
There's so many good things.
Do you still have that bear, the teddy bear?
Yeah. It's
oh my God, you need to get the bear, the blue bear. It's like my kid's favorite. They all fight over it.
And anything else you guys want to leave us with before we sign off?
No, just sending love to everyone here listening, and thank you for joining us and being a part of this conversation. It was so nice. It's such a nice organic flow. We're all friends, so it's always fun to chat, and we appreciate everyone that joined.
I'll ditto that.
You'll ditto that. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining. Teresa, thank you so much for joining us. We love you. And ladies, I'll be calling you a million times, but well wishes on both of your births. And
thank you.
We'll see you all for the next Coffee with BAEO. Bye.
All right. Bye.